Excel functions aren't complicated, they're shortcuts. Instead of doing the math yourself, you let Excel do it for you. In this video, we'll walk through your first core Excel functions: sum, average, min, and max. And more importantly, how functions work so you don't have to memorize anything. Let's set sail. The first thing I'm going to do is add these 5 numbers together, and we're going to just use a basic math formula to do that. So I type equals, and I click in the first cell, a plus sign, and I want to show you that you can, instead of clicking, you can type in the cell exactly. So A4, and that gives us the second one. And I'm going to finish this out. And I'll press enter. And it adds those numbers together for us and gives us 75. As you can see, that works, but it took a lot of effort to type or click each of those cells and put plus signs in between each one to get to our total. And it would be even more work if it was 10 cells or 100 cells. But Excel has a way to make that a lot easier. I'm going to show you that now. First thing I'm going to do though, just kind of a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to give that a quick border so I remember that that was a total that I did and not one of my data elements. And then I'm just going to label this sum for demonstration purposes. That is not something you need to do in order to use the sum function. That's just for us so that we remember what each of these functions is. And we're going to type equals because functions are just formulas. And the word sum, which is the name of the formula that Excel uses to add together a bunch of numbers. And the open parentheses says, here's the information that I want you to add together in this case. So I'm going to click and drag the numbers I want to add together. You always have to have a closed parentheses. So we're going to go ahead and type that. We're done. When I press enter, you will see that it adds these together. But before I do that, I want to show you that we have the name of the function, sum, open parentheses, A3 colon A7, which is how Excel says this is grab all the cells starting with A3, ending with A7, and a closed parentheses. Press enter, and it gives us the result 75, which is the exact same number we received when we added all of them individually. Exactly what we would expect. I also want to show you that you can take any of these functions, but we're going to do sum, and you can type in A3 colon A7, close parentheses. This does the same selection, and it gives us the same answer. Now, you don't have to memorize how all of these work. You can use this formula insert function button and click on it, and then choose the function you want. Sum is already selected for us, so it's going to insert sum, and then it pops up a window that lets us choose what information we want. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to click and drag the same cells, A3 colon A7. Again, you could type that in this little box right here. That is all that we want to add together. And it even tells you the result. And it tells you what this function is going to do. It says adds all of the numbers in a range of cells. So it gives you the result and tells you all the things it's going to add together. And when we click OK, it builds the function sum, open parentheses, A3 to A7, just like the previous 3. All 3 of these gave us the same function, the same formula in the cell. I'm just arrowing up between them. That was just 3 ways to write the formula that has a function inside it in the cell. You can use any of those, whichever you're most comfortable with. And the important thing to remember is you don't have to memorize this because you can use this insert function to find and enter the information. And you can even go back, as you see I just did. I already have sum in here in this cell, and I can click this insert function, and because there's already a function there, it thinks you want to change this, and so I could change it if I want to. I'm just going to label these so we remember how we entered them. We entered this one directly, correctly. And I'll just make this wider. So that's the sum function. We added together a bunch of numbers. What makes this more powerful, we can do the average of these numbers. And I'm going to use the formula insert on this one. And I'm going to click average instead of sum. And it tells you average returns the average of its arguments, which is the range of cells that we are going to select in a moment. And that's what I want. So I click OK. And then I'm going to select the same range of cells again. So A3 to A7. And when I click OK, it gives me the average of 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25, which is 15. You don't have to memorize any of this. Excel helps you. You can always lean on this insert function button and go back and review what you have as a function. Or if you're in a blank cell, it will ask you what function you want to add. Now, maybe you want to know what the largest and the smallest numbers are in the data that you're looking at, and Excel has an easy solution for those as well. We'll first do max, which is the maximum value. We don't have to remember what it is, and max is right here. And we're going to click OK. It inserts it. We'll select the cells we want to know the maximum value of. Click OK, and it tells us the maximum value is 25, which, because these are in order, the biggest one is 25. And the last one is min, which gives you the smallest value. So if you want to know what the smallest value is, again, use the function. And I don't see min in this list right here. You can scroll down and maybe it appears. But if you can also kind of do a search. We're going to say minimum. I'm going to say minimum and click go. And now it gives me things that if I type minimum as a search, these are things that you might want. And you can just look at each one until you find the one that you want. The one I want for this is min. Finds the smallest number in a set of values. So again, we're going to select all of these and click OK. And it shows us the smallest value. And so I'm just going to arrow up slowly. The min function, the max function, the average function finds the middle value, and the sum function finds the total. All of these are formulas and they will update if your data changes. So I'm going to change this middle one to be 60. And so it updates the sum, updated the average because the average changed. It updated the max because the max changed, but the minimum value is still 5. And let's say I change 25 to 1. Again, it changed all of the numbers except for the max in this case, because the maximum number did not change, but the average changes, the sum, the total of the values changes, and the minimum number changes. So as your data changes, these work just like basic math functions and automatically update. So you might be thinking, where would I use these? And one place that you could use them is in an expense tracker, and you might recognize this if you've seen previous videos. We are going to add a few calculations to summarize our expenses that are stored on this expense tracker. First thing we're going to do is the total, and that is just going to be the sum of all our amounts. And you scroll back up, and you can see it gave me the hash marks. We're going to expand this out. So the total is $735.59. I also might want to know what my average expenses were. I'm going to do average. Again, that's just a label so that I remember what this is. Type average. We're going to select the same cells again. And scroll back up. And you see the average is $41.39. So we've quickly calculated the average of all of our expenses. And I'm going to do max and min, maximum, we will do minimum. So now I've built out this summary that shows us information about our expenses. And we did that very quickly, just using 4 core Excel functions. The important things to remember are first, that Excel functions can make doing calculations a lot easier than just entering basic math formulas. Second thing to remember is you do not have to memorize what each of these functions are or how to use them. You can just use the insert function button and it will guide you through exactly what to do for each function. So until next time, I wish you smooth sailing.